went to Africa with my sons last summer, and there was a Maasai warrior who's a little bit older than you are, and he said, "Where are you from?" And I said, naively, I said, "I'm from the United States." He says, "No, no, 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 no. Where are you from, my sister?"
Right.
And I didn't know. And so when you got tested, I got tested. So you have my results, which I have not seen. I've been dying for you to come back today. So I can have my results, because I said never ever do I want to say again, I don't know. So can you share? Yeah, why don't you bring it on up? You can bring it on up here. Let me tell you, I tried to bribe people this week. I've been asking around. Nobody would tell me. So I am really grateful.
Before we continue, we have something prepared for you on the monitor.
Oh, wonderful.
We can take a minute.
You are full of surprises.
We have our moments.
All right.
Judge Hatchet, we have matched your bloodline with two distinct ethnic groups from West Africa, the Use and the Yoruba. Both groups currently live in Nigeria, Benin, and Togo. Around 1000 AD, the Use established themselves as prosperous trans-Saharan traders of gold, ivory, and dyed cloths. And by the 15th century, Use land had become one of the most important and wealthy trading centers in all of Africa. Your other ancestors, the Yoruba people located in southern Nigeria and Benin, are one of Sub-Sahara's most famous and prolific art-producing cultures. The Yoruba community was the center for ivory and wood carving, as well as terracotta and cast metal sculptures. In addition to their unique art, the Yoruba people are also known for their proverbs and spiritual influence. Perhaps most significant of all, Judge Hatchet, is that you come from a long line of strong and independent women. In Yoruba society, women held complementary rather than subordinate positions to men. Unlike many other ancient peoples, Yoruba women have great opportunities to participate in economic and social life. Judge Hatchet, you continue that tradition as a great woman, a great Yoruba woman. And today, all of your brothers and sisters, Yoruba and Use, welcome you home.
I rarely lost for words, but I'm just moved by this, and I am very grateful. And I so appreciate the special effort to do that piece, because if we know who we are, it makes us clear about where we ought to be going.
Amen.
The Africa Channel wants you to know your heritage.
Actor Anthony Anderson recently took an African ancestry test. However, he has his own hopes of discovery.
Where do you think you're from?
The artist in me wants to say Cameroon, since that's where the artist is from.
So we traced your maternal line to the Bubi people living in Bioko Island, and we traced it to the Tikar, the Hausa, and the Fulani people living in Cameroon.
Cheadle's my cousin! Since I was a kid, I said that this is my purpose in life, to entertain, to have an affect and an effect on people's lives with my work, and to know that there's direct lineage to the artists of Africa, and now it's been validated. So thank you.
Anthony Anderson knows his heritage. Do you?
So what's happening is we've actually taken the swabs, put them into a solution which pulls the cells off of the swabs and puts them into what's called a lysate. So it basically degrades the cells, breaks down the proteins on those cells, and frees up the DNA.
I'm going on a journey to find my roots by taking DNA tests from 3 different companies: AfricanAncestry.com, 23andMe, and Ancestry.com. The question is, will these tests give me the same results?
Each of us has surprises hidden in there.
First up, my mom's DNA, which each company traced back to Africa.
So when we traced your maternal line using DNA that you've inherited from your mother and her mother and her mother all the way back for at least 1,000 years, and that you've passed on to your daughter, we found that you share ancestry with the Jola people living in Guinea-Bissau today.
Which is, you know, phenomenal that you're able to figure that out, and it's part of West Africa. And I guess one of the things that strikes me about that when I look at it on this map, and the little star that's here on the map that you sent me, is that that's where a lot of Africans were making their way for the passage over to North America. So is it possible then that some of that blood could be from elsewhere in Africa, or does it specifically mean just for that region?
Well, what it means is that there are people, Jola people, living in Guinea-Bissau today that have your exact same lineage.
On my dad's side, the results were in sync, but unexpected.
What this is showing is R1b, which is a line of very, very successful European men. The relative there that we know of is John Adams.
John Adams! John Adams? I've been joking around about it being politicians. I didn't exactly expect it to be John Adams. But Mountain put that into some perspective.
It's the most common line in Western Europe.
Oh. But here's my dad. So why are his results so European?
Many African Americans have at least one paternal line that traces back to Europe because of the relationships probably between slaveholders and slaves.
So while perhaps shocking, history helped me understand the results, but the lack of a family history is often a reason why blacks trace their roots.
We're the only group in this country that can't point to a country of origin, the only ones. And so that's why DNA testing for ancestry has particular importance for us historically and psychologically.
So we made it to Utah. We flew on the first thing smoking out of the New York area. We got here to Salt Lake City, then drove down south, and now we're in Provo at the offices of ancestry.com. They're going to tell me not only what my DNA says, but they're also going to tell me about the genealogical side, because I gave them all the family data on my mom's side and my dad's side. So now I'm about to walk in and find out what they know about me. I'm pretty excited. Ancestry.com's John Pereira points out there's more to everyone's story than just DNA.
You really need to look at not just the DNA, whether you get that at Ancestry.com or some other DNA service, but you really need to look at all of family history.
Genealogist Anastasia Tyler did reveal some history about my dad's father, Roland, his father, John, and his father, Creed.
So I wanted to start with your grandfather, Roland, and he died when you were almost 2,
yeah,
right?
I was
so
1 when he died.
I'm
exactly.
assuming you don't remember him.
I know, I don't know him at all. I didn't know him at all.
Did you know anything about him, or?
I knew his nickname was Skinny.
Skinny?
That's about it. You know, I hear stories about that. I remember my grandmother, but I don't really remember my grandfather.
And this part I really like. This is his signature. This is your grandfather's signature. So he signed it saying everything on here is correct. So that's one of my favorite parts of this document, is just to see that personal touch. You don't think,
yeah,
my
like
ancestors. So, and then this is the back of it, and it just gives a little bit of a description. So he was medium height, and his build was slender. So maybe that's where skinny
there
comes
you go.
from.
That's why I do know that they called him Skinny.
So we have his mom, Bertha, which we saw in the document before, and then his father, John. So right here, I know that this handwriting is kind of difficult to read, but here we have John. This is the 1880 census. So we have John, and he's 8 years old. He's living with some, siblings here, and his parents, Nancy and Creed. And so the thing that I think is interesting about this, now we're in 1880, we're 15 years after the Civil War, and Creed is 33 years old, which if we're doing the math, he was, about 18 when the end of the Civil War. So he likely spent the first 18 years of his life in slavery. He's a farmer. He could read, but he could not write. But we know that by 1900, he owned his own house, it didn't have a mortgage, and he could read and write. So again, we're seeing this upward, progression of, just bettering themselves. And also this man spent the first 18 years of his life enslaved. But 35 years after slavery, he owns land, he can read, he can write.
And this is only about 4 generations back
for me. Yeah. I mean, you look at your dad's side, and you have such strong people in your family tree. You look at Creed and John, who go from not being able to read to owning land, you know, born into slavery, and then becoming landowners, always improving themselves. It's quite a legacy that you have.
A legacy that's not just part of Black history, but American history.
The Africa Channel wants you to know your heritage.
You share ancestry with the Tikar people, the Igbo people. You share ancestry with the Makua.
Grammy Award-winning platinum recording artist Arie learned of her African heritage at the National Black Arts Festival in Atlanta. Her family joined her on stage to hear the news.
You all share genetic maternal ancestry with people living in 3 small West African countries: the Fulani in Guinea-Bissau, the Mende in Sierra Leone, and the Kru people in Liberia.
Arie is not the average girl from a video. Her worth is not determined by where she is from. She will always be a queen.
We have a very long lineage in Memphis and Alabama, so I knew that, but I didn't know the other side.
Right. Arie knows her heritage. Do you? The Africa Channel recently caught up with television and radio journalist Jacque Reid, who couldn't wait to learn of her ancestry.
I was kind of bugging the folks from the Africa Channel. I was like, well, did I send my stuff in time? Am I going to find out today? And they were like, well, you just have to wait. You have to wait. Why do I have to wait? I want to know. I want to know.
Where do you think that you're from?
I have no idea.
We found your ancestry among the Tikar in Cameroon.
Now it makes me feel like I have this connection somewhere and not just an entire continent. I can't put this down, you know, I want to know more. So it definitely is something that no matter where you are in finding out who you are through your ancestry, this is something.
Jacque Reid knows her heritage. Do you? Talented actor Nate Parker has always been curious about his roots and recently took a DNA test to set him on his journey.
To be able to find this out and to know this part of my history, I think is going to be extremely important to my life.
At the Africa Channel's annual celebration, A Night of Tribute, the co-star of The Great Debaters, Pride, and The Secret Life of Bees finally made the connection.
You share ancestry with the Tikar people living in Cameroon today.
Today is a special day for me because it's the first step in reconnecting those lines that will make me stronger. It's time to take a trip.
Ancestry, Regina King, and Dr. R.A Kittles.
Each year, one of the highlights of the Night of Tribute is the moment when our honorees learn the results of their DNA tests, revealing their connections to Mother Africa. Let's look back at 2007.
Regina King, we found your lineage in 3 countries: Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Senegal. People in these countries that you share ancestry with are the Temne people in Sierra Leone, the Kru people in Liberia, and the Mandinka people in Senegal. When we traced Blair's maternal ancestry, we actually found it not in Africa, but in Asia. So he's going to be doing some research to figure out who that Asian woman was.
I always knew I was confused.
Man, I hope I'm not from Asia. I think I'm from the high yellow freckle face tribe. We're trying to find them. You know, I'm hoping I'm like a Maasai warrior.
We all started somewhere along the Rift Valley of Kenya, made it up the Nile Valley, went across West Africa and Central Africa. You don't have to be ashamed of African blood coming from anywhere in the world.
Mr. Wesson. We found your ancestry among Mende and Temne people living in Sierra Leone.
What I want to say is I forgot to acknowledge my mother's here tonight. Stand up, Ma. Guess what? We're from Sierra Leone.
Now for the moment everyone's been waiting for. Let's bring out Councilman Parks, Diana Shannon-Young, Charles Burnett, and Taraji P. Hensen.
Okay, so Bernard, do you know where you're from? Any idea?
Beaumont, Texas.
So what we've done is we've traced your mother's line back, and it's interesting because when we talk to many African Americans, a lot of them say they have Native American ancestry.
That's right.
And then when we do the testing, we don't necessarily find it. But what we found with you in terms of your genetic material, your maternal line, is Native American.
You know, my grandmother's, or my great-grandmother on my mother's side looked very much Indian. And when you go back to our family tree, starts with a General Matoyer, a Frenchman, but doing with New Orleans, Baton Rouge, the Cane River, there's a lot of Spanish-Indian mixture along with African-American. So I guess I'm a Blackfoot now.
That just might be it.
Thank you very much.
So for the artist, the visual artist with us tonight, yours is very exciting because one of the groups that you share ancestry is known for making breathtaking masks. We found your ancestry in 2 countries, in Bioko Island and also among the Tikar, Hausa, and Fulani in Cameroon. Congratulations.
Oh.
Thank you.
Mr. Charles Burnett, do you have any idea where your ancestry is from?
I don't have a clue.
No clue.
Okay.
Okay, so we were able to trace your maternal lineage, also back to Sierra Leone among the Mende people.
Thank you very much. Sierra Leone. Thank you.
I actually had the honor of meeting Taraji about a month ago, and she's like, oh, I want to know, where am I from? And so we traced your ancestry, your maternal ancestry, back to West Africa, and the results that you get are the same for your son, any brothers and sisters you may have, your mother, your aunts and uncles. Everyone on that line shares ancestry with the Massa people in Cameroon. Congratulations.
You my cousin!
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so time for some racially charged news of my own. Last week, we sent you a flip camera, and you swabbed the inside of your cheeks. Let's take a look at that.
Hey, George, this is for your ass. Why does it matter if you do it on a different side? Yeah, I want to make sure I get every damn freeloader in my family, George.
Seal it up.
Seal it up. Okay, we're good now?
So, this is a big thing on the internet. We asked the viewers, who's blacker, you or Snoop? 78% think Snoop is blacker than you are.
I was watching that with first of all, that's because he's just blacker. I told you, I'm lighter because I had a slave owner creeper.
Who do you think is blacker? You? Him?
I think he's going to be blacker just because he didn't have any creepers in his history.
All right. Well, it's time to find out. I have the results of your DNA test. We send this to the
I'm excited for this,
DNA.
actually.
I know you are.
Yeah.
Diagnostic Center in Cincinnati. So let's have the drum roll, Robin, please. Thank you. Charles Barkley, you are 0% Asian. Which explains probably why you can't play golf. You are 14% Native American. Which explains the gambling. You are 11% European.
Okay.
And Charles Barkley, you are 75% sub-Saharan African. 75%. Right there. The same DNA as the city of Detroit. What do you think about that? That's your DNA makeup.
You know what? I'm very proud of that because, first of all, I'm very proud to be black. I don't use the term African American. I love the term black. But I'm glad because I think everybody's a mixture of somebody. But 75%, that's a good number. That's beautiful. Take that, Snoop Dogg.
Tonight, the answer to the burning question, who is blacker? Charles Barkley is 75% African.
Take that, Snoop Dogg.
And tonight, Snoop Dogg gets his DNA test results. The main event starts now.
So I know you think you're blacker than Barkley. Everybody thinks that you are. Everybody. Right?
I think they do.
All week. So we sent the sample of your DNA to the DNA Diagnostic Center in Cincinnati. And I have your results, Snoop. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm also ready.
Snoop Dogg, you are 0% East Asian.
Wait a minute. I don't got no Asian in me. I like Chinese food.
Snoop, you are 23% Native American. That's pretty big.
That's real big. All right. That only leaves 77% left.
You are 6% European.
Well, so what does that mean?
Hang on. The moment we've all been waiting for. Charles Barkley is 75% sub-Saharan African, a.k.a. black. Drum roll, please. Snoop Dogg, you are 71% sub-Saharan African. Oh my God, Snoop. Charles Barkley is blacker than you are.
Oh no.
Charles Barkley got your ass by 4%.
Oh, no. I want to feel like George Bush right now. We got to have a revote. This ain't right. This ain't right.
Charles wasn't able to be here tonight, but he sent you a message. Check this out.
Hey, guys, thank you for this honor. I am the notorious DNA. Hey, I'm sorry I can't be there tonight. Hey, Snoop, I would love to meet you, actually. Hey, but Snoop, I'm going to just call you Whitey from now on instead of Snoop. I'm actually on the set of this new movie, Soul Plane 3. I got your part, Snoop. Let me tell you something else, Harry Reid. You keep pissing us black people off, I'm going to whoop your ass. Hey, George, thank you very much for the honor.
Okay. Snoop. So you don't go home empty-handed. I got some gifts for you, things white people like. A medium t-shirt. A Glee DVD. 2 tickets to see Josh Groban. And the Snoop Dogg Malice in Wonderland, because white people love Snoop.
The first person whose DNA results I have to deliver is one of England's most famous tabloid journalists. Gary Bushell is campaigning to have St George's Day made into a national holiday.
You have 0% Native American genes.
It's a blow.
0% East Asian, 92% European, and 8% Sub-Saharan African.
Really?
It's unlikely that you'd have acquired those genes through a steady agglomeration of DNA building up in your gene pool. It's much more likely that this would have been a singular event, probably in the last 5 generations. On your father's side, there's someone who's Sub-Saharan African.
Lady Thatcher's daughter Carol has agreed to provide a DNA sample.
On your European DNA, and this is actually quite unusual in terms of our samples that I've read out before, 0% South Asian, 0% Southeastern European, 76% Northern European, and 24% Middle Eastern. We mean Saudi Arabia, Iraq, possibly parts of Iran, Syria, Jordan, all the way through to North Africa.
The next person I'm going to meet threatened to sue if this programme discriminated against the English. Jane Phillips believes that to be English, you must be descended from the Anglo-Saxons.
Jane.
Hi, hi.
Hello. You have by far the lowest North European score of all of the people that we tested. It's less than half of what might be expected from a typical North European.
Right.
And you also have by far and away the biggest Middle Eastern score
right.
of all those we tested. 4 times the average. You should look for your ancestry in the Ukraine, in southern Russia, or the Caucasus, such as Georgia or Armenia.
Okay.
Another possible explanation is that Jane could have some ancestors who were Romany Gypsy.
This is absolutely the typical DNA of a Romany Gypsy.
When I first met comedian Danny Blue, he told me that to be truly English, you couldn't have black skin. In his DNA tests, Danny came out as one of the least European of everyone I met.
Shall I give you your European DNA breakdown?
Certainly.
10% Middle Eastern, 11% South Asian, 37% Southeastern European, and 42% Northern European.
I'm a bit of a mongrel, aren't I? Not a thoroughbred after all. Oh.